You're doom and gloom, aren't you? Let's just go through all the bad stuff that's happened. New York Jets are in unbelievable disarray. They fired Robert Saleh, the head coach, early. Now they've fired Joe Douglas, the general manager, who put together this awful lot of conversation. They're not even going to bring Aaron Rodgers back next year because he's just not the same quarterback and he's struggled. Why did Douglas get fired? Well, it's just not the Aaron Rodgers acquisition. It's the failure with former number one picks, quarterback Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold. And now the story that this owner, Woody Johnson, is meddled in everything in the Jets front office. I mean, if you want to be a football man, then you put in the hours to go be the general manager and player personnel director. But don't sit there in your Mercedes and dial up the cell phone and block this trade that your GM, who was hired to make this acquisition, has reports that he interceded, and prevented 3 different transactions from occurring. And they had the ugly holdout with the linebacker Hassan Reddick, who they got from the Eagles. Now we find out that he had agreed to a contract extension to get Reddick in camp, and then he reneged on it. And that's why Reddick's holdout lasted 8 weeks. And he's hardly contributed at all since the end of the holdout, lost all his money. The Jets are a disaster from top right back to bottom. Second team, New York Giants. This is pretty ugly. Now, I've heard athletes been at press conferences, talked to guys in locker rooms, guys who got demoted. A lot of them get pissed. A lot of them get angry at the organization. A lot of them want out. I heard a lot of things. An hour ago, their quarterback, Daniel Jones, who's in the middle, he's got 2.5 years, $90 million still on his contract. He got demoted. He got demoted to 4th string.
4.
He's not even suiting up now. The Giants are going to start their backup quarterback, Tommy DeVito, the rest of the season. They're going to let Daniel Jones go, I guess, at the end of the season. The reason they're benching him now is, A, he's played poorly. The whole team is crap. But he's played poorly, and he's got a $25 million guarantee if he gets injured. That money counts towards next year, and he gets it. Giants are not going to do that. So in essence, the Giants are waving the white flag on the season. But I've heard a lot of players respond really harshly and badly. Daniel Jones held a press conference after practice today. It was right before we went on the air. I saw the video. Daniel Jones said, "I apologize for playing really poorly. I am going to support Tommy DeVito. We will turn this thing around. I do owe the fans and this organization better play." Now, he didn't say offensive line's been crap. You let Saquon Barkley go to the Philadelphia Eagles in the same division. I was pretty impressed. That being said, though, with all the money Daniel Jones has got, his record's 24-44, 70 games, 70 touchdowns, 40 picks, 50 fumbles in 70 games, and 208 sacks. That's just not all on him. It's a byproduct of how really bad the organization is. So you got the Giant situation. 49ers, I don't believe this. I don't buy it. But there's a lot of undercurrent of rumors that Kyle Shanahan has worn out his team and that he's worn out his welcome and he's lost his team emotionally. I don't necessarily buy that because they got so many injuries. They're obviously not the same football team they've been the last couple of years. But there's a critique that he's so bloody relentless in preparation and practice and all that. And his team's got so many people hurt. All their skill guys are hurt. That he's just gashed them to the point that they're fatigued. They can't play anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens the back half of the schedule there. Cleveland Browns, Thursday Night Football, Pittsburgh Steelers, once upon a time. This rivalry is pretty damn fierce. I remember the rivalry when the Browns had Brian Sipe, our San Diego native, and they were really good. And the Steelers had Jack Lambert and company, and they were really nasty.
Oh, yeah.
And that was Terry Bradshaw and John Stallworth, and all those games were amazing. Anyhow, in Cleveland, worst start since they were 0-17 in 2017. The worst part of this conversation is it looks like the players have caved in. They gave up so many yards last week, and now they're 2-8 on the season. And I'll guarantee you, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers walking into that stadium in Cleveland tonight, and the weather's going to be rotten, I hear, walking into that stadium, it's a freaking grudge match. We're just going to repay some debts along the way. It's going to be really ugly in Cleveland. And in Jacksonville, miserable season. So much was expected, so many injuries. I hate to say it, it looks like they quit. Last week, Jaguars gave up 625 yards to the Detroit Lions.
Holy crap.
52 points. I mean, it was ugly. In the last 3 games, Jaguars have only 528 yards in offense in 3 games. That's not even 200 yards a game. And the last 3 games, they've given up 1,494 yards. That's almost 500 yards per game on defense.
Unbelievable.
Does the word quit kind of come into the conversation as it relates to the Jaguars? So those are other NFL storylines. Go ahead, John. Just walk through that minefield and tell me what you think.
It is a minefield. It just sucks to be a football fan in New York right now. You know?
Yeah, both sides.
I know. Well, at least the Bills are good if you want to root for them. But, when you talk about, what's the guy's name? It's not Woody Guthrie. It's
Woody Johnson.
Woody Johnson. Yeah, Woody Guthrie is like a folk singer or something. Yes. There's been a history of NFL owners that like to meddle. Whether it's Al Davis or Jerry Jones, but isn't Jerry Jones though like the GM, or doesn't he have some of that play?
He's the president, owner, GM, and he's the football guy. He played football, and they had success. They've won 3 Super Bowls in Jerry Jones's time. That's different from who Woody Johnson is. Now, the Mara family goes all the way back to the 1930s, and they've been very loyal to all the people they've hired for the Giants. But this is a really bad spell they're going through right now, and they've made a lot of mistakes.
Well, you got to give credit to Daniel Jones for, accepting responsibility for his poor play. Yeah. Dude's still going to get paid, so he's probably going to be fine. But I wonder if Daniel Jones is going to surface somewhere else and then maybe be a better quarterback because he's got a better supporting cast.
This has really been bad. I mean, he's taken so many hits. He's had like 3 major injuries in the last 2 years because they had nobody around him to block for him, and they had no wide receivers. And they had Saquon Barkley, and Barkley had 1 year where he suffered a major knee injury, and then he becomes a free agent, and the Giants let him walk across the bridge to Philadelphia to play for the Eagles within the division. Oh, my God. Okay, so those are all the storylines around the National Football League. Hey, this podcast, we appeal to a lot of people from a lot of different locales in different cities. You got to comment, jump on board in the fans forum about one of these storylines we're talking about.